Oh, my mic was muted. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mormon Atheist. So, we are continuing our series with reading Illustrations of Masonry by William Morgan, and it's actually published by David C. Miller. Okay, this book was published in 1827. Okay, and so this is going to be a continuation. All right, so this is episode 21, chapter 19. Okay, and today's date is March 2nd, 2026. And apostate congregation, I want to start out by asking you a question. Was if you watched the last episode, how prophetic in light of the Epstein files was that episode? Okay, that episode was released before the Epstein files were released. And it's absolutely stunning, right? The questions that I ask in that video of, how has the Mormon Church been able to survive this whole time, right? In light of the Epstein files, now we have that it says, they're on the bloodline list. So the bloodline list is the list of prominent names, right? Prominent families. So there's like the Rothschilds, the Kennedys, the stuff like that, right? Well, at the bottom of the list, it just only says the Mormon leaders. Okay, well, so apostates, me and you know who the Mormon leaders are, right? So, and then in light of everything that we're talking about here, right? About the anti-Masonic movement, how they are telling you that this stuff does not exist, right? That they're creating this religious institution that is called Freemasonry, right? It's phenomenal, right? And so it's incredibly prophetic, the last episode. It's phenomenal. So we're going to get more into all of that as we go along, but let's keep going on our book here. We're almost finished. We're on page 93, okay, of our series. And I'm going to start out with section second, okay, on page 93 of his book, of William Morgan's book. So section second, it starts out with saying, did you ever return to the sanctum sanctorum, or holy of holies, of King Solomon's temple? Answer, I did. Was there anything particular took place on your return? Page 93. Answer, there was. I was accosted by 3 ruffians who demanded me of the Master Mason's word. Did you give it to them? Answer, I did not. I bid them wait with time and patience till the Grand Lodge assembled at Jerusalem. And then, if they were found worthy, they should receive it. Otherwise, they could not. In what manner were you accosted? Answer, in attempting to retire to the south gate, I was accosted by one of them who demanded of me the Master Mason's word. And on refusing to comply with his request, he gave me a blow with the 24-inch gauge across my breast, on which I fled to the west gate, where I was accosted by the second with more violence, and on my refusing to comply with his request, he gave me a severe blow with the square across my breast, on which I attempted to make my escape at the east gate, where I was accosted by the third with still more violence, and on my refusing to comply with his request, he gave me a violent blow with the common gavel on the forehead. and brought me to the floor. Whom did you represent at the time? Answer: our Grand Master Hiram Abiff, who was slain at the building of King Solomon's temple. Was his death premeditated? Answer: it was, by 15 fellow crafts, which conspired to extort from him the Master Mason's word, 12 of whom recanted. But the other 3 were base enough to carry their atrocious designs into execution. Okay, you have to remember that these are the blueprints, apostate congregation. Remember from the last videos, okay? This is the blueprint of all things Mormonism, right? Because this is pre-Mormonism right here. There is no Mormonism in 1827. So these guys are telling you what's happening, right? What's about to happen. And if you take the anti-Masonic movement into account, okay, they're warning us against a religious institution that is called Freemasonry, okay? Along with Freemasonry is the magic of Solomon. Me and you today call this Solomonic magic. All right? So whenever you take this stuff into account and then you take into today, and in light of the Epstein files, all the occultic bullshit that's going on with that, you take into the Mormon leaders are on the bloodline list, right? You know, it's all of the occultic facets of today, how everybody is talking about the Freemason. This is all Masonic. It's Freemasonry. It's Freemasonry. Okay, well, apostate congregation, me and you are learning about the anti-Masonic movement. Okay, this is late 1700s, early 1800s. Okay, we are learning about on this channel the very beginnings of what's happening today. You have to remember the anti-Masonic movement failed, apostate congregation. Okay? John Quincy Adams was that was the guy, and he failed, right? So what we are witnessing right now, it would, in light of the Epstein files, is what William Morgan, Solomon Southwick, David Bernard, who else? I made several videos on these people, these authors, and they're warning us against this stuff, right? And they failed. And so today we're witnessing it's all coming to fruition today, right? And this is the stuff in this book, in William Morgan's book. And wait until we get into Solomon Southwick's book, because in Solomon Southwick's book, they start naming names. So we get into Harvard, we get into Yale, we get into Oneida, we get into Dartmouth. These are all members of the same Masonic lodges. Okay? And they're creating this thing. They're creating these colleges. When does Yale College, when is it created? When is Harvard created? When are these colleges created, right? And then look at their mottos, right? What are their mottos? Okay. What are their what's the word called when you have a business and then they have like a business model or whatever that they like, what's that word called? I forget what it's called, but anyways, like their goal, their projection, like their idea, like where they're going to go in the future, what their ideas are, right? Look at that kind of stuff. When you Google these colleges, look up their founding members, trace those members back to these lodges. And they're all 33rd Scottish Rite lodges, all of them. Remember, what was the Revolutionary War about? The Yorks versus the Scots. Come on, apostates. Who won? Who won the right to write the United States Constitution? The Yorks did. That's who. Okay, so you got to take all this historical context, right? So one of the cool things that I kind of discovered was there's a mention in the Epstein files of some of the Mormon, like Epstein was talking to one of the Mormons or something like that, and they never name who it is, right? So I Googled who was the president of the church at that time, right? And it was Ezra Taft Benson. Okay, well, since I study the anti-Masonic movement and I know how political this stuff gets, I know how deep this shit gets, right? Because this stuff is extremely political. To answer my own question, in light of the Epstein files, the Mormon Church is, and Mormon Monarch as well. Take in Mormon Monarch too. Mormon Monarch, the church is a total fucking government organization from the start, right? So anyways, back to Ezra Taft Benson. Ezra Taft Benson is actually related to William Taft, the 27th president of the United States. So there's a real legit story to these bloodline things, right? And so you can go back and you can Google the prophets and all that kind of shit, and you can Google their bloodlines and you can Google who they're related to. And they're all related to presidents, congressmen, all of them are, right? So there's a legit story there, right? It's really fascinating when you take into consideration, apostate congregation, the Masonic element of the Epstein files, and considering that the anti-Masonic movement is all about a religious institution called Freemasonry. We all know is the LDS Church. We all know that it's the LDS Church, okay? Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to say, apostate congregation? I mean, connect the dots, but it's all over. And, and there's many, many smoking guns. The Church of Christ is the biggest smoking gun. The Church of Christ. Henry Smith, Noah Smith, and Noah Smith Jr., okay? I've done videos on these people, right? The Church of Christ was Joseph Smith's original church, the Church of Christ. Well, who created the Church of Christ? Henry Smith created the Church of Christ, right? And you can look this stuff up for yourself. Henry Smith, Noah Smith, and Noah Smith Jr. So Noah Smith is the father, Noah Smith Jr., and then Henry Smith is the youngest. You're going to get two different articles about the same guy. I want you to compare those names. Compare where they're from. Where is Yale College, Middlebury, Connecticut, right? Who is the brothers? Who are the mothers? Who are the fathers? They're literally the same person. It's you're going to get two different names. One is going to be a martyr, and the other one is going to be a Mormon missionary, like has something to do with Mormonism, right? But compare their history, and that's your missing link right there, is Henry Smith. So when I say there is no such person as Joseph Smith, I'm not joking you. I truly believe that. And I've done videos as to why I believe that. You can watch those videos, right? So when you take into these Epstein files, My videos make a fuck ton more sense, don't they, congregation? The Salmonic magic, right? I mean, come on, look at all the occultic shit that's going on in those files. And the thing with the Mormon Church, though, is they're very sneaky. They're since the beginning, they're very much a behind the scenes player, right? So when it comes to the Mormon Church and the Epstein file involvement, you have to look at the financial people, right? You have to look at the lenders. You have to look at the real estate firms, right? The land deals, all these kinds of things, right? These are your Mormon connections, okay? Because Mormonism is very much, and so for example, say you get X, Y, and Z company is in the Epstein files, right? Financial Bureau, blah, blah, blah. You have to look up the religion of those people, because the religion of those people is going to be your core connection to the church. Because once you get that high up into the church and you're dealing with that kind of money, the church more or less owns you and you have been placed there. Okay? This is why in Missouri and Illinois and Ohio, they were kicked out because they were implementing their rule, the Mormon rule, and people weren't having it. It's in the Mormon history. They were afraid that they were going to infiltrate their government, their politics, and sway the votes. Well, this was the argument in the 1830s and 40s. Now look at what has happened. Okay? Look at Texas. Look at Facebook. Look at how bad Facebook is being infiltrated right now. Everything is Mormon. Moroni channel this, Mormon temple that. Legit, everything's Mormonism. All the ads are all Mormon. Look at on the TV shows. They're all Mormon TV shows that are popular right now. Look at, Carrie Underwood, David Archuleta. On the new American Idol season, there's a BYU student. There's, if you take in the Mormon monarch idea, right? That's a total fucking psyop, dude. That's an MK Ultra psyop, is this whole Mormonism bullshit stuff all over the TV, all over social media. Okay? This whole Zionist project, the Erica Kirk thing, all this shit, man. All this stuff. Okay, the Erica Kirk thing was in Utah, right? The cover up of that is phenomenal. They got the wrong fucking guy and everybody knows it. Like everybody knows it. Like it's not even like debatable. That dude is a patsy. Totally fucking patsy. That dude is a straight patsy, man. What else are you gonna say? I mean, there's so much shit out there that like just straight up videos, camera shows that is not a real thing. It's ridiculous, man. And see, the Mormon Church is not directly involved in that, but that whole thing, your allegiance, first and foremost, if you're a Mormon, is to the church. That's what's dangerous about cults. That's what the anti-Masonic movement was all about, is their allegiance is not to God and country. Right? Apostates, the anti-Masonic movement tried to warn us in a very loud statement. Solomon Southwick, David Bernard, I mean, these people wrote books, okay, about this stuff. Solomon Southwick wrote many, many articles for many years against this. So did John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams did too. So this stuff is legit, man. And it's prophetic. It is legitimately prophetic. If you pay attention. If you have to pay attention, right? Because we're 21 episodes into this now, into this book. And how many times has William Morgan told us this stuff is not real? They're creating this as they go. The operative Masons versus the speculative Masons. Operative is Masonry of old. They're telling you that there is no such thing as the Knights Templar. These guys are making that story up. There's no historical evidence of Sir Galahad, Sir Lancelot. Like it doesn't exist. They're making it up. It's a religion. In 1830, it separates. It becomes Mormonism and Freemasonry. But in its beginnings, it was one. It was one entity, and then it split. And the Church of Christ is that split. Right? The Church of Christ is that split. And that's where we get modern day Masonry at. Now, full hands down, I don't know squat about modern day Masonry. But when it comes to the Freemasonry of the 1800s, I'm extremely well rehearsed. It has changed so incredibly much. So has Mormonism, to be honest with you. Because we're in Morgan's book and in the other books we're going to get into, they're telling you about the oaths. They're telling you about the garments. They're telling you about the symbols that are on these things. They're telling you what this stuff means. They're telling you the prayers. They're telling you all this stuff. And then videos that I have already done on the anti-Mormon literature, they're confirming these stories. They're legitimately saying in the anti-Mormon literature, they're legitimately saying this church is Freemasonry. Okay, now you got to remember, this is the 1800s, so they're using different words. They're using different language. They're using words like pretend, impostress, imposter. Okay, these kinds of words that me and you today, we would say these guys are fakes, they're frauds, they're phonies, they're, these kind of, which they use those words too. So the anti-Mormon literature, which I also do videos on, you have to remember my time frame is the Joseph Smith era, right? The late 1700s to when he dies, 1844. That's my time frame. I read books contemporary to that time frame, and I report to you on those books. Those books never talk about polygamy. Never. They never, in the words that me and you use the word polygamy as, that word is never used. It's never used. Nobody ever says Joseph Smith is a polygamist. Now there is spiritual wifery, there is whoredism or whoredom or whatever they call them, right? There is all those stuff, but they describe it though. They tell you what spiritual wifery is. Think baptism of the dead, right? That is spiritual wifery. There's no polygamy. Joseph Smith does not even exist. So how can he be a polygamist if he's not even a real fucking person? How many books have I shown you? Henry Coswell writes an entire book on this very subject. Joseph Smith is not a real fucking person. He's a character. He's a William Morgan type person. An allegory. He does not exist. William Morgan does not exist. And I come up with these I come up with this because of the literature. My entire opinion is based on the literature because this is what these books say. It's not my opinion. I'm not making anything up. This is legit what these books say. So it's fascinating to me. It is so fucking fascinating to me that we can, in a lot of ways, these Epstein files validate the Mormon atheist, right? Because I've been telling you this shit for 2 years now. For 2 years now, I've been telling you this is a Masonic, Salmonic magic sex cult. In light of Mormon Monarch, the Mormon Church is literally farming children. They're farming children. That's in the Mormon Monarch. That's in all kinds of various other stuff. That's way pre-Epstein stuff, right? This is, and now it's just kind of confirmed. Like, you know, what are there, like 4 conspiracy theories that are like considered to be like conspiracy theories now? Shit, the Epstein file like proves everything. All conspiracy theories are legit true. It's so bizarre to me, man. It is so fucking bizarre to me. It's so hard to wrap my brain around those things because there's so much bizarre cultic stuff going on in those files that it's crazy, man. But anyways, all right, apostate congregation. Let's keep reading this book. We're going to make it through this goddamn thing one way or the other. We're 21 freaking episodes into this thing. All right, let's keep going. Page 94. What did they do with the body? Answer. Okay, remember all right, what did they do with the body? Answer. They carried it out to the east gate of the temple and buried it till low 12 at night. When they 3 met, agreeable to appointment, and carry it to a westerly course from the temple, and buried it under the brow of a hill in a grave 6 feet due east and west, 6 feet perpendicular, and made their escape. What time was he slain? Answer. At high 12, at noon, when the crafts were from labor to refreshment. Remember what the crafts are, congregation. The crafts are the magicians, right? In previous episodes in the book, we talk about how the craftsmen in Freemasonry are equivalent to the Magi in the Bible. And that is who is performing your magics, are the craftsmen in Freemasonry in the 1800s. How come he to be alone at this time? Answer, because it was the usual custom of our Grand Master Hiram Abiff. Every day at high 12, when the crafts were from labor to refreshment, to enter into the sanctum sanctorium, or holy of holies, and offer up his adorations to the ever-living God, and drew out his plans and designs on his trestle board for the crafts to pursue their labor. At what time was he missing? Okay, do you understand this whole part right here is about the magic? Okay, it's all about the magic. At what time was he missing? Answer. At low 6 in the morning, when King Solomon came up to the temple, as usual, to view the work, and found the crafts all in confusion. And on inquiring the cause, he was informed that their Grand Master Hiram Abiff was missing. and no plans or designs were laid down on the trestle board for the crafts to pursue their labor. What observations did King Solomon make at that time? Answer: he observed that our Grand Master Hiram Abiff had always been very punctual in attending and feared that he was indisposed, and ordered search to be made in and about the temple to see if he could be found. Hiram's missing, right? Search being made and he not found. What further remarks did King Solomon make? Answer: he observed and feared some fatal accident had befallen our Grand Master Hiram Abiff. That morning, 12 fellow crafts, okay, think Mormonism, the Grand Master Hiram Abiff, that morning, 12 fellow crafts, clothed in white gloves and aprons, okay, understand the temple ceremonies right now. This is big, okay? Answer: he feared some fatal accident had befallen our Grand Master Hiram Abiff. That morning, 12 fellow crafts, clothed in white gloves and aprons, in token of their innocence, had confessed that they 12, with 3 others, had conspired to extort the Master Mason's word from their Grand Master Hiram Abiff, or take his life. That they 12 had recounted, but feared the other 3 had been base enough to carry their atrocious designs into execution. Now, the 3 is huge, right? Because there's 3 witnesses. There's 3 men that take the 116 pages. There's 3 men in this. There's 3 men in what is it? The Book of Nephi, First Nephi. Oh, geez, Laban, right? So this story right here, remember, I'm telling you, this story is the template for Mormonism, for every Mormon story you've ever heard, right? Like any Joseph Smith bullshit of any kind. It's phenomenal. Okay, so let's keep going. What followed? Answer. And not to mention, congregation, the whole Solomonic magic aspects of this. King Solomon, what do you think King Solomon is in Freemasonry, right? Who do you think this guy is? What is his importance? Have you read the Testaments of Solomon yet, apostate congregation? I know a lot of you subscribers have been with me for 2 years now. And so tell me, have you guys read the Testaments of Solomon yet? What did you think about them, right? Comment, I don't do the lives, so if you're commenting in the lives, I don't do any of that stuff, because I actually have them turned off on my side because they're incredibly distracting. So I can't do the comments. So after the show, comment, right? And tell me what you think. How does King Solomon relate? And in Mormonism, how every single general conference, how many references are there to King Solomon, Solomon's temple, all this kind of stuff, right? Do you think that's by accident, that there's this correlation between Freemasonry and Mormonism through King Solomon? Okay. Have you ever wondered that? I mean, it's, come on, congregation. Okay. What followed? Answer. King Solomon ordered the roll of workmen to be called to see if there were any missing. The roll being called Were there any missing? Answer: there were three. Okay, Jebula, Jubello, or I'm sorry, Jubella, Jubello, Jubellum. Okay, remember that, right? Because in past videos, we've gone over what that means. Okay, were the ruffians ever found? Answer: they were. How? Answer: by the wisdom of King Solomon, who ordered 12 fellow crafts to be selected from the band of workmen clothed in white gloves and aprons, in token of their innocence, and sent 3 east, 3 west, 3 north, page 95, and 3 south, in search of the ruffians, and if found, to bring them forward. What success? Answer: the 3 that traveled a westerly course from the temple, coming near the coast of Joppa, Joppa, were informed by a wayfaring man that the 3 men had been seen that way that morning, who from their appearance and dress were workmen from the temple, inquiring for a passage to Ethiopia, but were unable to obtain one in consequence of an embargo. Oh, shit. I mean, come on. All right. He tried to go to Ethiopia, but couldn't get there because of an embargo. Whew. Whew, apostates. That's crazy, man. All right. Which had recently been laid on all the shipping that had been turned back into the country. Now, apostate congregation, this is really funny. The reason I'm laughing is because you have to take into consideration the politics of the day. What was happening politically in 1827, in the 1800s, when this book was being written? Okay. All this stuff you hear today about Donald Trump talking about the Monroe Doctrine and all that kind of stuff, James Monroe is who he's talking about. Okay. There really was an embargo. Okay. In United States history. Okay. And so local politics in the day are also in this book, being stated as historical facts, right? They're trying to go to Ethiopia because of the embargo. They can't because of the embargo. Well, in 1827, I believe it was 1827, there really was an embargo. It might have even been 1825. I can't remember, but there really was an embargo. So the local stories of the day, the local politics and all that kind of shit are also in these books. And they're saying that the Freemasons are creating this stuff. Do you understand? It's Freemasonry is Mormonism. And Freemasonry is a complete bullshit thing. It was made up. There's no such thing as Freemasonry. The Knights Templar, none of that stuff ever existed. It doesn't exist. All this stuff on Oak Island, all this bullshit, Templar story, Dan Brown, it's all bullshit, man. None of it exists. It was made up. It was created. Over the years, through time, this stuff is being created. And my evidence is the anti-Masonic movement as a whole. The entire movement is about this. So it's not like this is my own theory here. This is not my theory. Okay, I will say that until I am blue in the face. This is not my theory. This is what the anti-Masonic movement is about. And it has been sillied up to this stupid bullshit William Morgan story. That's a complete ruse. It's a total ruse. It's a distraction. It's a complete distraction. We're being distracted today with all these news stories about all this. And now, how often do we hear about the fraud now that now that they bombed Iran, the Epstein files kind of go away. So like, you understand how this shit works. This is nothing new. This is nothing that George Bush created or Bill Clinton or Richard Nixon. This shit's been going on since day one, since England, we're 4,000 years of this. Don't be naive, people. Come on. The awakening is here. The Great Awakening is here. We are Morgan. The legions of many is who we are. You understand? We're bringing truth. We are the adversaries to this bullshit story that's being fed to us. We are the adversaries to this bullshit story that is being fed to us. And it's obvious nothing is happening with any of these people. So it's up to us, congregation. Like, what do we do? You know, what do we do? Do we just let pedos run the world and accept it? Public shame is what I say. And who is the most behind the scenes player in all of this? The Mormon Church. Remember, what was their motto in the very beginning when we read these books? To make you a Mormon without you ever knowing it. What was the Masonic thing? The 33rd Scottish Rite Mason agenda, to make you a Mason without you ever knowing it. Right? This stuff is literally in the text. It's what the books say. It's astonishing, and we are witnessing it come to fruition today. That's what's so astonishing about reading these books. A Chinese wise man once said, if you want to know the future, you must know your past. For 2 years, congregation, I've been telling you, this is a Masonic, shamanic magic sex cult. For 2 years now. And here it is in your face. It's in your face. The Mormon leaders are on the bloodline list. Now, I'm not talking about the pint of blood that the girl gave. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. At BYU, nothing happens at BYU without the church knowing about it. So do you really think that girl, do you really think that girl was the only one? Come on, congregation. They're on the fucking bloodline list. Do you think that girl is the only one? Mormon monarch, they're farming out children. Okay? This stuff is not bullshit. It's in your face, man. So now it's up to you. Your cognitive distance. How far is your cognitive distance going to go? Because now you're complicit. Now you know. You know. And you can Google all this shit. You can Google it all. Look up Mormon monarch. Mormon monarch. MK Ultra, CIA Mormon monarch. As crazy as it sounds, it's real. How crazy do the Epstein files sound? But a lot of that shit's real. Some of it's fake, yeah, but a lot of it's fucking real. Now you can take that bloodline list and you can either believe it or not. But if you don't believe it, then you can't say the Rothschilds, you can't say any of those, you cannot say any of those. You can't pick and choose. It's either legit or it's not. And if it's not, your cognitive dissonance is showing, okay? Your cognitive dissonance is showing. It's a breeding den of pedophiles. Google LDS abuse. Google LDS child SA, bishop child SA. Google any of this stuff. Use whatever keywords you choose to use, right? It's all there. Just look it up for yourself. I do not take my word for anything. Look it up for yourself. Do your own investigation. See if it's real. If you choose at this point to follow that church, you are 100% just as guilty as they are. They're on the fucking bloodline list. They're farming children. They're creating like legit psyop, like no bullshit. As crazy as that sounds, it's in so many things. It's in so many things. Look at all the Mormon stuff that's on TV right now, on social media. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. All of the latest stars, movie stars, all of the latest pop stars, they're all Mormons. Not all of them, but most of them, they're Mormons. It's phenomenal, man. It is absolutely phenomenal. And this church is at the heart of all of this. Anytime you are watching a podcast and you hear them talking about Epstein files and Freemasonry, and that is the Mormon church. They're talking about the Mormon church. Freemasonry is the Mormon church. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? I was born and raised in Mormonism. And I know that all of you that out there that are over the age of 40, that are born and raised in Mormonism or were even in the church for any length of time, you know the Masonic elements of what the church used to be. They're still heavily Masonic, but they have distanced themselves a lot compared to like pre-1990. Pre-1990, the church was a very, very different place. And it was heavily Masonic. Yeah. So this stuff is legit, congregation. King Solomon, what does he got to do with it? What is, the Testaments of Solomon? All right, let's keep going. Answer. King Solomon ordered to go and search again and search till they were found, if possible. And if they were not found, that the 12 who had confessed should be considered as the reputed murderers and suffer accordingly. What is the story of William Morgan when he died? What is the story of Joseph Smith? What is the story of Laban? What is the story of Hiram Abiff? What is the story of these martyrs, right? These Masonic martyrs. Okay, they're all the same. They're all the same. Okay, and it's telling you right here. What success? Answer. One of the three that traveled a westerly course from the temple, being more wary than the rest, sat down under the brow of a hill. That sounds like the golden plate story. Wow. One of the three that traveled in a westerly course from the temple, being more weary than the rest, sat down under the brow of a hill to rest and refresh himself, in which attempting to rise, caught hold of a sprig of acacia, which easily gave way and excited his curiosity and made him suspicious of a deception. On which he hailed his companions, who immediately assembled, and on examination found what the earth had recently been removed, and found that the earth had recently been removed. and on moving the rubbish discovered the appearance of a grave. And while they were confabulating about what measures to take, they heard voices issuing from a cavern in the clefts of the rocks, on which they immediately repaired to the place where they had heard the voice of Jubea. This is a new name, Jubeia. Okay, that's a new name. We haven't seen that name yet so far. On page 96 is that name. The voice of Jubea exclaimed, "Oh, that my throat had been cut across, my tongue torn out, and my body buried in the rough sands of the sea at low water mark, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours. Ere I had been accessory to the death of so good a man of our Grand Master Hiram Abiff," on which they distinctly heard the voice of Jubelo. "Oh, that my left breast had been torn open." Okay, this is Jubelo speaking now. On which Jubelo says, "Oh, that my left breast had been torn open, and my heart and vitals taken from thence, and thrown over my left shoulder, carried into the valley of Jehoshaphat." Okay, and there to become a prey to the wild beast on the field and vultures of the air. Ere I had conspired the death of so good a man as our Grand Master Hiram Abiff. The third, Jubelum. "Oh, that my body had been severed in two in the midst and divided into the north and south, my bowels burnt to ashes in the center, and the ashes scattered by the four winds of heaven, that there might not the last track of remembrance remain among men or masons of so vile and perjured a wretch as I am. Ah, Jubela, ah, Jubelo. It was I that struck him harder than you both. It was I that gave him the fatal blow. It was I that killed him outright." On which they rushed forward and seized, bound, and carried them up to the temple of King Solomon. What did King Solomon do with them? Answer: he ordered them to be executed agreeably to the several imprecations of their own mouths. Was the body of our Grand Master Hiram Abiff ever found? It was. Answer: it was. How? Answer: by the wisdom of King Solomon, who ordered 15, in some lodges they say 12, fellow crafts to be selected from the bands of the workmen, and sent 3 east, 3 west, and 3 north, 3 south, and 3 in and about the temple to search for the body. Where was it found? Answer: under a sprig of acacia, where a worthy brother sat down to rest and refresh himself. Was there anything peculiar took place on the discovery of the body? Answer: there was. On moving the earth till we came to the coffin, we involuntarily found our hands in this position to guard our nostrils against the offensive effluvia which arose from the grave. It's a bad smell, you know? How long had the body lain there? Answer: 14 days. What did they do with the body? Answer: raised it in a Masonic form and carried it up to the temple for more decent interment. Okay? Raised it in a Masonic form and carried it up to the temple for a more decent interment. Where was it buried? Answer: under the Sanctum Sanctorum, or Holy of Holies, of King Solomon's temple. Wow, so there you have it. Now you know where Hiram Abiff is buried. Hiram Abiff, on page 97 in William Morgan's book, Illustrations of Masonry, Hiram Abiff is buried under the Sanctum Sanctoriums, or Holy of Holies, of King Solomon's temple, over which they erected a marble monument with this inscription delineated thereon. Here is the inscription: a virgin weeping over a broken column, with a book open before her, in her right hand a sprig of acacia, in her left an urn. Time standing behind her, with his hands unfolded in the ringlets of her hair. What do they denote? That's really cool. Let me read that again. This is what the inscription is: a virgin weeping over a broken column. Also think of this imagery as well. This may be an inscription, but think of the imagery too. A virgin weeping over a broken column, with a book open before her, in her right hand a sprig of acacia, in her left an urn. Time standing behind her, with his hands unfolded in the ringlets of her hair. Very cool. That's cool. It's like a weird riddle, huh? What do they denote? Answer: the weeping virgin denotes the unfinished state of the temple, the broken column, that one of the principal supports of Masonry had fallen. The book opened before her, that his memory was on perpetual record. The sprig of acacia, the timely discovery of his grave. The urn in her left hand, that his ashes are safely deposited under the Sanctum Sanctorum, or Holy of Holies, of King Solomon's temple. And time standing behind her, with his hands unfolded in the ringlets of her hair, that time, patience, and perseverance will accomplish all things. Okay, apostate congregation, page 98 is where we are going to stop this edition of the Mormon Atheist. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the videos. Remember, this channel is not monetized. It will never be monetized. We are unleashing a huge secret on this channel that nobody's talking about, congregation. Nobody's talking about any of this stuff. Nobody's talking. Everybody has dismissed the Mormon aspect of the Epstein files, just outright dismissed it. There's a few podcasts out there that are talking about it. I put one of them. I shared one of them on my community page. I believe. If I haven't, I will. But it's on my. It'll be on my community page. I believe I shared it on there already. But anyways, so if it's not on there, I will do it. But anyway, so yeah, everybody's just totally dismissing the Mormon aspect of the Epstein files altogether, and how they're all playing it as kind of there's nothing here to see, folks. But there is so much more to this story. It's all behind the scenes. You have to look at the financials, the financial players. You have to look at the property, the landholders, the real estate aspects. These are going to be your Mormon ties, right? The governors, the politicians, these are your Mormon ties, right? The congressmen, town councilmen. These are your people that are perpetuating this Mormon influence, this Mormon infestation onto the United States. And it has to stop. There has to be some kind of way through protests, look up their, boycott all things Mormonism, boycott all things Epstein file, everything. Shame, public shame. These people need to be shamed. Go on their Facebook pages and, just, I don't know, apostate congregation. I don't know what the right answer is to that. I know violence definitely is not the answer. So any of you meatballs out there that are thinking about stuff like that, forget it. The most peaceful way you can do any kind of protest is by boycotting, because what are all of these people after? They're all after money. So if you stop giving it to them, you freaking tithe payers, stop giving them your tithing. Stop buying stuff from these organizations and watching their programs and cheering on for their teammate. And because all of these people are connected, they're all fucking connected. And it's bananas. It is so bananas to me how connected these people are. And the Mormon church is like right there in the heart of all of it, doing what they do best, sitting back and let everybody else take the fall. And the Mormon church is going to come back just, oh, it wasn't us. Look at the Zionist agenda, right? If you don't think that shit in that New Jerusalem, apostate congregations, Mormon theology. Where is the New Jerusalem? It's in Missouri. What was America called? It was legit called the New Jerusalem. Okay. I mean, come on, congregation. The Mormon church is totally behind all this. This whole Zionist agenda shit is the Mormon church, right? Okay, apostate congregation, I've gone on long enough. Again, today is March 2nd, I believe. We stopped on page 98 of William Morgan's book, Illustrations of Masonry. We are almost done, congregation, with this book. So, let's see. Today is March 2nd, 2026. Okay, so anyways, we ended on page 98, section 2nd, okay? And I put a little squiggly there by it so I won't lose my spot. So, anyways, a channel update. It's springtime, congregation. So it's starting to get warm where I live. So I'm going to try it out and see how it works. I don't know if it'll work out too well, but I'm going to take and do a couple of episodes on the outside. Okay, I've been here, in the inside, so we're going to go outside. We're not doing anything fancy, just still my camera, my phone, my earbuds. It's not going to be anything fancy. The only thing that I worry about is the wind, because I know wind really affects sound a lot. So I'll play around with it, and see how it works out. But anyways, that's about the only channel update. And so we're going to start doing some more frequent videos. I know I've been taking a lot of time off, congregation. Thank you guys for sticking around. But I gotta get away from this sometimes. And then whenever the Epstein files came out, it just totally blew my mind away and then I started watching the other ex-Mormon podcasters, and none of them are talking about it. The main prominent podcasters, I was so expecting last Monday, okay? Because one of them does a show every Monday. I was totally expecting him to do Epstein stuff because they're like the go-to newscast. And they totally dropped the ball and talked about some dumb bullshit that nobody cares about. I think everybody was waiting for them to like do some Epstein stuff. And they just completely avoided it at all costs. So remember, congregation, I've told you in the past on several videos, these ex-Mormon podcasters are not ex-Mormon. They're not ex-Mormons. And we know that now to be fact. It's actually come out that the church is paying these podcasters. They're paying them, and they're also paying them off. Remember, this shit happened to me 2 years ago. It's in my videos from 2 fucking years ago. They told me I was not allowed to talk about Salmonic magic or Freemasonry at all. And I didn't take the money. I returned the money. That is why this channel will never be monetized. Because I know those motherfuckers are on the take because they're not talking about certain shit. And the ones they got bought out. They got fucking bought out, man. Cultural Hall, dude fucking sold out. 132 problems, she fucking sold out. My evidence is, where's your content? Where is your content, you fucking sellouts? Okay? Where's your content? Must have been some threats. Wow, that must have been some threats, man. I don't believe it at all because they tried to legit buy me. Yes, it did scare me, but it didn't scare me enough to take my shit down. You know, I wasn't about to do that. Come on, man. Come on. You people need to get some thicker skin. Okay? I know that we grew up in a cult. We grew up in a legit cult. And I know that saying anything against Mormonism, it's all offensive, and you get the red face and okay, come on, that's over. That's over. If you have not gone outside of the Mormon bubble yet, the Mormon box, you're still in the fucking church. And at this point in the game on this channel, if you're a follower of this channel, you're just playing a game. You're pandering. Feelings, sensitivity. Okay? We on this channel are past that. We're past your feelings. You can go to Mormon Stories. You can go watch Bill Reel and John, whatever his name is, Delin. If you want feelings and if you want pandering, that's where you go. Here, you're not going to get that. You're going to get slapped in the fucking face on this channel. Okay? Because ex-Mormons, you have to understand, there's also, we talk about Salmonic magic on this channel. So there's also people that are subscribers that practice Salmonic magic. There's also people that practice Freemasonry. If they don't practice it, they study it, they get into it, whatever, right? So I got to stay true to those guys too. This is an ex-Mormon channel, but those people are here. So if I'm telling you a story about how Joseph Smith is practicing Salmonic magic, there's going to be 15 people that study Salmonic magic reply that how fucking wrong I am. So I have to stay true to them, right? So this stuff is real, congregation. TBMs, SCMC, this stuff is real, okay? SCMC, I invite you to watch my channel, and I invite you to research, okay, the stuff I talk about, actually legit research it. Don't comment some stupid bullshit stuff, on topic of the video. Let's talk. If I'm wrong, then I'll eat crow and I'm wrong. But when I'm holding the book and reading directly out of it on the video, you're going to have a very hard time telling me I'm wrong. Okay. So please, I invite you to fact check my videos, TBMs, SCMC, whoever else is out there that I could give two shits about that watches my videos, because this channel's not monetized. It's already extremely heavily suppressed to begin with. That's why I ask you all to subscribe, like the videos, like the comments. Please comment yourself, even if it's just, hey, how you doing? Comment, because that shit helps the algorithms to get this stuff out there. Share the videos, put them on your Facebook pages, your channels, whatever the case is, right? Talk about this stuff, get it out there. That's the whole point of this channel. I'm not trying to make money on this. I have a job. I don't give two shits. This is information. Our world is fucking crumbling right now. And it's the Mormon church is who's behind all this. Legit, it's the fucking Mormon church, man. So I'm not interested. This channel is heavily suppressed already. Okay? Well, it doesn't even matter. This channel is so fucking suppressed, it's sick, man. So all of your support is by getting the word out, reading these books. All of these books are on archive.org. They're all free. You can watch any one of my videos. Most, I would say 99.5% of all of my videos, those books are on archive.org. So this information is out there, congregation. You just have to go look at it and go find it and read what the real history is. And the anti-Masonic movement is the missing link. That is the missing link. Solomon Southwick, David Bernard. Read this book. Read Illustrations of Masonry first. Then Solomon Southwick, 1827. A Solemn Warning Against Freemasonry. And then David Bernard, 1829. Light on Masonry. Okay? Read them in that order. 1, 2, and 3. And the entire plan of what's happening today is no shit laid out in those 3 books. Right there. Those 3 books are what's happening today. And if you don't believe me, read the book. You see, that's my secret weapon, is when the TBMs and stuff like this, when they come at me, they generally aren't even commenting on my videos or anything about that. They just like throw some dumb shit out there with huge amounts of insults. And that's all they do. They're just bullies. So this stuff means nothing to me. When these people comment and when they're, I kind of play with them and have a little bit of fun with them, and it's because I know that most of them are just returned missionaries, or they're on their mission or something of these sorts, right? And this is probably something that they're allowed to do or told to do, or something along these lines. But the language that they use is incredibly insulting. And these people are supposed to be representing the church. They're church representatives. They're presenting themselves as TBMs. So if they're a TBM and they're using that kind of language, trying to convince people to join their church, it's having the total opposite effect. Because you can read those comments that are online and on these different forums, and these TBM comments are just pure vile. And then it's like, but join my church because we are the most Christ-loving people on the planet. Well, fuck, you just got done totally demeaning me and my process and everything about me and now but I love you. It's the old George Carlin bit, right? But I love you. Right? I mean, come on, man. Come on. So, apostate congregation, anyways, we're going to close out. I'm just rambling now. I want you all to seriously contemplate the Epstein files, the bloodline list, the anti-Masonic movement, Ezra Taft Benson, his relation to William Taft, the 27th president of the United States. Put all of these things together, connect all these dots. Henry Smith, the Church of Christ, Noah Smith, the lodges, Harvard, Yale, Oneida, all of these things are all 33rd Scottish Rite Freemasons that have a clear agenda to take over the York rights for winning the right to produce the United States Constitution. That's what the Revolutionary War was about, the Scots and the Yorks, to who was going to get to write the Constitution of the United States. And the Scots lost. The Yorks won. And what was the Scots' motto? In retaliation, to make you a Freemason without you ever knowing it. That's how they were going to take over the country, and that is what George Washington's farewell address is all about. Beware of secret societies. George Washington is legit telling you this shit, man. This is history, dude. This is no bullshit. Okay? George Washington was a York Rite Mason, not a Scot Rite Mason. You got to understand the difference between the two, right? They're two factions, right? And what's happening right now? The Epstein file comes out. America is very much a Scottish Rite entity. Okay, we are a Scottish Rite entity. Donald Trump, Scottish Rite, they're all Scottish Rites. England is the York Rites. Okay, the Epstein files come out. What's happening to England right now? They're falling. Prince, whatever his name is, gets arrested. Da 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 da. All of the York Rite Masons are getting kind of fucked right now, and the Scots are just sitting back. Right? The Mormons were just sitting back, waiting for the York Rite Masonic entity to fall. And once that entity falls, we are going to take over. I say we as meaning America, right? Now, I am not a fucking Mason. I'm not a Mormon. I'm not a Mason. Okay, I don't believe in this shit. I don't want to practice it. I don't believe in it. I have to practice it because I'm a fucking American. So just purely by default, I'm practicing fucking magic every day. I'm being initiated in some bullshit way every day, right? Right? We're all being fucking initiated every single day. You got to understand Salmonic magic, man. Understand Salmonic magic and you'll understand what's happening here. Get the Testaments of Solomon. Read that shit, man. I'm telling you, read that stuff. Understand what King Solomon has to do with Freemasonry. And then you will understand what all of you ex-Mormons, you'll understand what it is in Mormonism. It's the same thing. It's legitimately the same thing. So, yes, we are in a cult. I was born and raised in a cult. So anytime you offend somebody that's not fully out of the church yet, it's, they just immediately shut you out and turn you off. And these people are supposed to be ex-fucking Mormon podcasters. And they're talking about the dumbest bullshit that ever walked the planet. Okay, they're pandering to you for your fucking money. Give them donations, right? To tell you what, man? To tell you about the Epstein files. That's what you want to know about, the Epstein files. You want to know the Mormon relations, the Mormon bloodlines. Dig into those channels. Who are those people? We know who they are, the 12. We know who they are, their families, right? Their brothers, their sisters. It may not be them personally, it's their brother. Okay? It's their sister, it's their nephew, it's their niece. They're squeaky clean. But go down the line a couple, and there you have it. Blood is blood. If I go to my third cousin, it's the same fucking blood. Still blood. Still my bloodline. Okay? Isn't this stuff fascinating? And on the surface of it, nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about any of this stuff. Except for the Mormon Atheist. We bring you the anti-Masonic movement. That is the ticket right here. That is the smoking gun. That's the key to this entire thing, is the anti-Masonic movement. If you're reading books about William Morgan, you're reading the wrong book. Okay? I do not want you looking at William Morgan. Go deeper than that. William Morgan is the allegory. William Morgan is the distraction. Go deeper. Go Solomon Southwick, David Bernard, okay? John Quincy Adams. God, I wish I could remember that guy's name. Lee something. I did a whole video on the guy. And I can't remember his name. Anyways, there's a whole bunch that are writing about this stuff. Even the anti-Mormon literature. The anti-Mormon literature is also telling you the same thing. Okay? Just remember, they split. So now you have a religious institution called Mormonism and a Masonic institution. But remember what the wording is, right? When it's Freemasonry, it's a pretended institution of religion. When it's anti-Mormonism, it's a pretended institution of Masonry. Okay? And this stuff is in the literature. It's all in these books. And it's phenomenal, Apostate Congregation. So like and subscribe to the channel. We're probably going to come out with another video here in a few days. Maybe even tonight, possibly. I don't know. Because I kind of want to get through this book. We're almost done. I mean, we only got a couple. I think I could do it in like another episode. So if I just stop talking and just read, I could get it done in another episode. But okay, congregation, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for turning on to the Mormon Atheist and dropping out of society for a while with me. We're back into the time machine, Apostate Congregation, so climb aboard. Get ready, buckle up. We're almost done with this book. So our next book is going to be Solomon Southwick, and you better get your splash bags, congregation, because we're going to get messy. And the Epstein files, we are going to take into account all of that shit. So we are talking about the anti-Masonic movement, is what these books are about, is what this channel is about. The anti-Mormon movement is what this channel is about, is what these books are about. And the Epstein files are confirming everything the anti-Masonic movement is warning you about. Drop the fucking mic, congregation, because that is fact. We are seeing this stuff come to fruition today, what they are warning us about, as early as 1805. That's when Solomon Southwick first starts writing against this religious institution called Freemasonry that Solomon Southwick and David Bernard both refer to as the Church of Masonry. And on that note, congregation, we are going to close out, and possibly I will see you in a little while or a few days. Set your notifications so you know when I'm back on. Like and subscribe and share, all that kind of good stuff. And apostate congregation, we will see you on the other side.